welcome back to Let's Write a Song. I'm Andy Cole, your host. We're broadcasting to you from Treaty 1 territory, Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, back for another week. And here in Canada, today is Remembrance Day. It is a day for honoring those who served in the military, who went off to war, who made the ultimate sacrifice. It's a day of reflection and for a moment of silence. It's also, in some parts of the country, like a full-on holiday. It's a day off. And in other parts, it's not. Where I live now in Manitoba, this province, it's a day off. It's a holiday. Where I grew up, it is not. It is just woven into the fabric of your day. And I guess because of that, I'm kind of two different minds on how to observe it. I know in Ontario, they were talking about making it a holiday, and I had this sort of feeling that I guess it is nice, and it's nice to have the entire day, and it lets you reflect on it at many different times of the day. But also, a big part of the idea and the theme of Remembrance Day is about duty and obligation that these people felt they were bound to, and they gave everything they had. And is it not a proper tribute to that, to go about our own daily duties and obligations while observing it, while remembering, and taking that moment of silence in the middle of the day when we are busy with other things? Does that help us sort of frame it a little better, that we have these things, that we are able to live this life because of the sacrifice they gave? Like I said, I feel either way is fine. I feel either way is appropriate. And I hope at some point today you've found time to take that moment of silence and to reflect. So we have a very good episode this week. There's a lot of talk about ambition and obstacles and finding solutions to problems. Our guest is Andrew Sookram. He's the owner of Sookram's Brewing in Winnipeg. They're one of the newest craft brewers in town. A lot of them have opened over the past 2 or 3 years around the city. And there's just so much good beer going on lately. I know Andrew a little. I know him through his business. We sell his products where I work, and he makes his own deliveries of his beer in his car. He just loads up the kegs. He loads up the flats of cans of beer and drives them off. He has that ambition in him, and he agreed to do this show a very long time ago. This is probably the most rescheduled episode of this season. We eventually got there just this past week. So this episode sticks out for a lot of reasons. It's the quickest one I've had as far as recording it, turning it around, and putting it out. Some of them were in the can for months before it was time to release them. This was just done, as of this recording, less than a week ago. I also did this episode on location. We went to the taproom at the brewery, so you'll notice it sounds a bit different that way. And the song you'll hear at the end is one of the biggest production pieces I've done. It was initially meant to be something much simpler. You'll hear it while we're writing. It was just us and an acoustic guitar, but it became this whole other thing because I had all these ideas, and Andrew's performance was so passionate and energetic. I wanted to honor what he brought to it. So we drank a bunch of coffee, and we also drank some of his beers, and we talked about pursuing passion and ambition. And we made a really great song, I think. Here is this week's guest, Andrew Sookram.
So excited. So excited. I just want to brew everything.
You want to brew everything?
Yeah.
What's on your wish list of things to brew?
We've started, haven't we?
I'm testing levels here, yeah.
My wish list, I want to just make more IPAs. Like there's just so many different kind of IPAs that you can make. I want to do that. I want to try to nail a spruce tip IPA because I've never really had an amazing one.
Yeah, I love the idea of
I love the idea of it, but every time I have one, I'm like, it's tree beer.
Yeah, I've never had one that tastes like I imagine what it would taste like.
I know. And then, I don't know, man. There's just so much. Every style I want to try. And
have you made anything that's turned out better than you thought it would?
You know, when we did the the sours, like all three of them actually. Like I love sours, but like we did the Cosmos Mango Peach. I really wasn't sure about it. Like I'm not the hugest mango fan as like an upfront flavor. And so I thought, I don't know how this is going to go, but then it turned out really well.
Yeah.
And then the blackberry, I was like, whatever. And it turned out really well. And then the pina colada, I wanted it to be good. I wasn't sure how it would turn out. Now I was super stoked on it. It tastes like pina colada in beer form. So I can't wait to make that again and jam it in a can.
Yeah, people love the sours.
Yeah.
Is that we have the flight of the core brews here set out. And the sour is in there, the Cosmos.
Yes, the last one, number
do you love sours? Like, do you have a passion for them? Is that why it's a core, or did you feel a little obligated for one to be there?
No, I think that like my first love is IPAs, and I do love sours as well too. But we just wanted to have something a little bit different that maybe wasn't on the market, and that's the biggest comment we get is like, no one's really brewing a core sour, and so. I'm happy that we are. I see why some people don't. It's a little bit more labor intensive.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What's the difference between like brewing just say Cult Classic Pilsner and a Cosmos?
Yeah. So Cosmos is you have to drop the pH in the beer, and how you do that is we use lactobacillus to drop it down to the sour mark. So under 4, close to 3, and so you mash the beer like normal, and you transfer all that liquid to your boil kettle, but then we pitch the bugs. That's what we say. Okay. And so we put lactobacillus in it, and it drops the pH of the beer. Usually, 16 hours. It depends. Oh, wow. You got to keep a steady heat source. It needs to be kept at its temperature, and then you come in and you check it in the morning. So it just takes longer. It takes 2 days versus your standard 1 day to brew a beer. Yeah.
But it's worth the work.
It's worth the work, yeah.
Everybody wants it.
It's worth the work. It's been like fantastic for us, and I'm so happy the way it turned out. And I think that it's introduced a lot of people to sours, I hope, who kind of get a little afraid of them. They hear the word sour, they're like, no. Because historically, you would go and try one, and I'm not a huge fan of the ones that are like, you could barely have a sip, let alone a pint.
They're
but
a challenge
there's a place for them. There's a place for them too. I do love them, but not all the time. So our approach was let's make it a little bit more approachable. Mm-hmm. But there you go.
Is that the first one up here?
No, it's Cult Classic.
Oh,
so it's Cult Classic, which is the Pilsner. We do the California Common, and then the IPA, and then we end with the sour.
Okay.
Typically, that's how we arrange our flights with the course.
Right. Yeah. Because I guess you wouldn't want to have something mild after the sour.
Yeah, and then it could blow your taste buds a little bit. So but we always tell people, if you want to drink left to right, that's the preferred way. But go rogue if you're going to go rogue.
Yeah, so, if one of them is colored really nicely, you want to go for that. Well, I'm going to go. So we have the. Do you want to name them again, just so we know we have the flight here? We're going to go through one as we talk. So we're starting on
Cult Classic, which is our Pilsner. Cheers.
Clink,
cheers.
Right in the middle.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you.
I assume we've started. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Definitely. That's why we've both been talking into the microphones, Andrew.
Yeah, I guess so, buddy. I thought you were still checking your sound levels.
Well,
I'm not ready.
We got that done. We're good. No one's ever ready for this. You just go. That's really nice.
Yeah.
A little bit of that Pilsner bite.
A little bit of the Pilsner bite. We do hop ours a little bit more. Mm-hmm. Not that I don't love a nice, clean, crisp Pilsner. I just love hops too. So and I wanted to be a little bit craftier with it, I guess. So
you might as well.
Yeah,
it's still mild enough that if someone just wants to come in and they just want a lot like a straight ahead regular lager or something, right? That's the option.
It's kind of how we designed the flight too. Like it's sort of a step up. Each one is very distinct, but also a different kind of flavor as you go along with the flight. That's where we end on the sour. Yeah. If you're not, but it's so funny to watch people change their minds too. They're like, "Oh, I want something light," and we're like, "Okay, try this, which is the Pilsner, and then try the sour. See what you think." Usually, more than not, people are like, "Oh, okay." If we say fuzzy peaches, they're like, "Oh, okay, I'm in."
Oh, I want the idea.
Yeah.
All you need to hear is the name.
Yeah, fuzzy peaches. Oh, I'll try that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's so much science behind it all. And you started as a home brewer, right?
Home brewer, man. Yeah, in my basement with and then a pot on the stove.
Really?
Yeah, man. It was it was meant to to my wife, it was meant to save money so I wouldn't have to buy beer. It didn't save me a lot of money because I kept buying other stuff and brewing quite a bit.
Cheap in here.
Yeah. It never got cheaper, honey. Sorry. It just got way, way worse.
Yeah.
But I just kept sort of upping the equipment a little bit. I never stopped, even when I was brewing at home and when I was brewing all these recipes. I still used like the 5-gallon cooler, like Gatorade coolers.
Oh, really? Yeah,
so that's really what I was using in my basement. And I started just doing tons of research and just went right to all grain, didn't do extracts or anything like that, and just fell in love with it hard. So
how long ago was that?
That was 5 years ago, I think.
That's so recent. Wow.
Yeah, it was. It's pretty recent. I think I knew right away, like, oh man, I love this. Just because, like, once I started researching it, I just wanted to try it, and then I would brew as much as I could. I was limited though. I was doing 5 gallons at a time. I couldn't always drink it all. Had to give it to friends, and then
bummer for your friends.
Bummer for them. Most of the time, it was gone now.
I'm getting more free beer.
Yeah, but also in the attempt to try to save money, I didn't brew as much, but still kept buying beer just to see what was out there. And
what was the first thing you made that like really turned out, where you really like nailed something?
I brewed an IPA, and up until even not that long, I think 5 years ago, and why I got into brewing was my brain was just opened up, where I found that I was typically, resound to beers that were available locally. I didn't go searching for a lot of them. A lot of craft beer at the beginning was huge and boozy, get the biggest stouts, which those were good. But, and then maybe it was 6-7 years ago, like I just found that right IPA. I think it was like Red Racer back in the day. And I just didn't know an IPA could be like that. And then after that, it was like, oh, that's what I want. That's what I want. Because it was fruity and
piney.
It just tasted delicious. I was like, what the hell? I guess I was used to oxidized IPAs on the shelves. So, because that's what was available. And then one of the first thing, our first thing that like meddled was an IPA. That was the first thing that got me a medal in beer. Yeah. And so after that, I was like, oh, okay. I just started sending my beer off to competitions to get feedback to try to make better beer. And I was just winning awards, so it was cool.
Wow.
Nice. It was cool. Yeah.
How many awards did you win then before you made this like a thing?
I don't know. I won at least one per competition.
Wow.
I didn't ever like brew a whole ton. I would like... Pretty much the reason why we made these our cores too is because these are the ones that sort of won in awards. And then I don't know how many medals I won. Not a crap ton, but a few. And then I won a local competition called Pros versus Schmoes with the
you were the schmo.
I was the schmo, definitely the schmo back then.
Yeah.
And the MacGuffin took best of show. I got first and second place.
Wow.
For best of show and then best overall brewer, and then that was it. And then I got to brew at Barnhammer because of that one. And I remember we were serving the beer, the MacGuffin, on tap, and I was like, yeah, that's it. This is what I want to do.
Yeah,
this is it. I remember talking to my buddy, and I was like, yeah, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. He's like, well, how are you going to get the money together? I'm like, I don't know. I'll figure it out.
Yeah,
I'll figure it out. I don't know. It is just going to happen.
That's amazing. Yeah, just that moment of like, it was just seeing your beer come out of the tap. And people like drinking it. It's just there next to the other beers they're ordering. Yeah.
It was such a trip. It didn't make any sense to me. I was like, I don't understand. Yeah. This shouldn't be happening.
It's real.
But I've never really won anything, or I was never into playing sports.
Right.
So soccer back in the day, but
that was your game.
I guess.
I find people that aren't into sports usually turns out are good at something. Like I'm not into playing sports, but I like baseball. I'll still play baseball or softball.
Yeah. My wife loves baseball and softball, yeah.
To me, it's my speed because there's a lot of time to just sort of stop and be like, all right.
And drink.
Well, as you get older, you have to.
Yeah.
The third inning is the beer inning.
Yeah. I thought that was every inning.
We're moving on. I noticed you just took a sip of number 2 here,
Yeah,
so I'm gonna go for it. Hey, I'm gonna go for it too. This is
California Common, so MacGuffin.
Beautiful, like copper color kind of.
Nice copper, ruby red highlights.
This was the one you won.
This is the one.
This was the 2 award winner night.
This is what
right?
started it. Yeah, this is the one that was.
It's another style too. People in the city, no one else in the city is really making a California Common regularly.
Yeah, that was the one that sort of opened the beer world for me. So I said, okay, well, I have to make it. I have to make it as part of the cores. It might not be a very popular style, but I think there's definitely room for it. And yeah, nobody was making it as part of their cores, so we wanted to do that.
Now, what inspired you to make that style then? If it's not coming to mind, I can only think of one that's usually readily available in stores.
Yeah.
Which is Anchor Steam.
Yeah. So with the pros versus schmoes, it was awesome because they actually only let you brew certain styles of beer. Oh. So like the whole beer BGCP it's called, which is the beer guide for all the beer styles.
Okay.
They only opened up like a few. So we picked California Common, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to brew that one. Yeah. Because it was one of the options. I'm like, oh, I've never brewed it before. Let's give it a shot. Did research, read up on it, tried a couple things, and then voila. It was the first one I made, and that was it.
Do you remember some of the other? Was there anything just really obscure on the list of things you were allowed to make that you're like, that might be fun to try, but there's no way?
I can't remember. I think they had a broad one it was an experimental one, and brewed a habanero wheat beer as well too.
Interesting.
Yeah, called it Heat in the Wheat. That might come back one day. I haven't brewed it yet, so
yeah,
that might come back one day.
Still up there though. It's still an idea you can.
Yeah. So really, it was just limitation of choice. I couldn't brew what I wanted to brew. Yeah. So I just took this and
it worked out great though. This is a very delicious beer. I want to say.
Kismet. Take another meant sip. To be, I guess. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
Weird. Cheers.
Cheers again. Listen.
Yeah, thank you.
Get that on mic for sure. And so now we got your nice location here, which we're at. That's why it's a little echoier than normal, but everybody should know that we're in your
thanks for coming
nice
down.
Tap room. Hey, I'm glad. I wanted to do an on location episode. I want to be able to do more of these, so this was a nice opportunity for me to see what my on the road gig and setup is, and it's nice in here. You're closed today. That's why we don't hear a million people. It's brew day here.
Brew day. Yeah, Sookram's. Dan's in the back brewing.
So your tap room is here on Warsaw, right off of Pembina.
479 Warsaw.
If anyone's looking to come down, right by Confusion Corner, very close. So very close. Walking distance from the bus station, especially right
which
over
is cool.
there. Yeah. There's been so many like tap rooms, breweries opening in the last few years. I've heard different versions around the city of why it all kind of happened at once. Was there like what was it? Was there something in the laws that were relaxed? Did that have to do with it? Or was it just the craft beer boom or what?
No, I think it was I remember, I think it was, Torque and Barnhammer, and back then Peg, well, Torque and Barnhammer for sure, which taproom laws, they changed it so you can have a taproom license. Okay. Whereas before you couldn't. So I think traditionally it was always a lounge or dining room license that you could get.
Okay.
So you probably could have done a brew pub. Right. But the taproom license opened up, and then, Torque and Barnhammer opened with just taprooms. Right. And I remember when they just opened, it was just 29 people or something, 30 people, and then Torque opened, and then there was a little bit more. Then everybody started probably thinking this is, we're going to take advantage of this. So it was really those laws changing that enabled us to open up. Another thing with Kismet and why things are meant to be. I don't know. That sounds kind of corny, but I can't help it with this whole process. It's just sort of everything was meant to be. So I originally I wanted to do a brew pub with a partner, and we almost got the Jekyll and Hyde's location because it was originally a brew pub, but it was so difficult to get any of the financing. So beer would get me in the door. Right. And they would talk to me. But then as soon as that food component came on the table, forget it. All I heard was stats of 8 out of 10 fail, and where's your restaurant experience, and what are you going to do for chef, and all valid questions.
Yeah. Totally.
I was just like, yeah, cool. I don't know. We'll figure it out, because
I'm a smart guy.
I just wanted to do beer.
Yeah.
And then it fell apart. I was not going to get the financing.
Oh, no.
It came down to like the 11th hour. I had like a day to sign it or lose this location.
Yeah.
And I just got this email saying, no, we need this and this and this if you're going to be financed. So it just kept being, you need this and this and this. Right. So I just said, forget it. I'm out. So I was really crushed because I thought, oh man, like I was so close. Like, we had quotes on everything. It was so close to happening. And then it fell apart and I was crushed. So, but I took a couple months to think about it. Almost immediately, I knew I was going to change the plan and do a brewery only. Because I was mad. The disappointment quickly turned to anger.
Yeah.
Where I was like, well, what the hell? Like, this was going so well, and then it stopped. And I know this is what I want to do, but I'll just have to find something. I'll just have to keep going. I know I'm going to do a brewery. I've never had real drive like that before, and we'll probably get to it later. I was in a band earlier, and as driven as I was, I never was as driven as I was with beer. Like, with the band, there was almost no stakes. So,
if you fail, it's like, whatever.
It's like there was no stakes. I don't think anything's going to happen. It's hardcore. I love hardcore, but I mean, I don't think we're going to be, we certainly didn't have thoughts to be the biggest band. So it was very different. And so I've never been that driven before. I don't know. It was weird.
And just that passion. I've had that with projects, with my earlier band that I had, and with an animated project my friend and I did, and with this podcast where it gets to a point. I guess the best example was when I was booking the first tour for my old band, and I applied for tour funding. I didn't get it. I applied for a grant to do recording. I didn't get that. But it was still, I had the attitude, I'm like, well, it's getting done. It's just, I didn't get this assistance. That's an avenue that's not open to me. We're just going to do it. And I decided too, like, the idea of booking a tour where, like, well, I'm going to have to use all my vacation time from work.
Yeah.
I was working at the radio station. I only got 2 weeks a year. I'm like, well, I know what my 2 weeks this year are going to be.
Yep, exactly. It was like, you just have to take that step. You just have to keep going and just make a list and bust it down and say, okay, how am I going to get past that? And you just, I don't know, man. It's weird.
Was it the finding a location that sort of cemented, like, okay, we can move forward with everything?
Yeah. A lot of that was, and I still have I looked at a couple buildings after when it was just brewery only.
Right.
And I wasn't happy with them. I knew I wanted, honestly, I was like, Barnhammer's been so helpful for me. I've said it in every interview and everywhere I've been.
Oh, good.
Tyler and Sable and Brian and Simon and Adrian and Tamara, everybody there was like, they would always help me. And I wanted something where they were sort of close to a neighborhood, but you were also a production brewery. So I didn't know if we were going to find it. I got lucky with this location. I still have the text. My realtor texted me, Stephanie, and she was like, I know where your brewery is going to be. Just like that.
Wow.
Just like that. I know where your brewery is going to be. I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, sure.
Slightly out of town. You're in Hemingway.
Sure. And so we came down here. I still was unsure. I was like, the parking really sucks, but it's off the rapid transit. Yeah. And then the building just started hitting more tick boxes for me where it had the overhead door. Yeah. So to get the tanks in, that was going to be a problem at the other location. Okay. Yeah. The appropriate water pipe coming into the building, huge. Awesome landlords who were willing to work with me and do like tenant improvement stuff.
Yeah, it must have felt great to just kind of, I've been in a situation too where it's like, that's not what I want. Maybe that's how I'm going to have to do it for a while. Yeah. And then you land your own space. Yeah. It feels great. Actually, can we move on to the next one here?
I was already moving on.
Were you? I didn't even know.
Sorry.
So we're moving on to number 3 in the flight.
Desert Island IPA.
Oh, I'm so happy. This is
my favorite.
Sorry. And mine too. I have to say it again. This is my favorite IPA in the entire city. If anyone hasn't tried it yet, Sookram's Desert Island IPA is just so good.
Thank you, sir.
Why does it taste so good? Can you tell me that?
Oh, the secret is... No, I'm just kidding. I'm not going to tell you.
I'm actually adjusting the mic stand right now. Yeah. So I was going to have to cut that part out anyway.
No. I don't know, man. Like... Just the hops we use, I guess. I'm a big proponent of cryo hops as well, too. I love aroma. I want it to kick me in the face. I'm still not 100% satisfied. I want to amp it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Or, you crack open the can, you can smell it from 5 feet away. That's what I want.
It's interesting, too. You say, like, there's things you still would tweak.
Oh, yeah.
And I think a lot of people don't know that, like, brewers just tweak the recipe all the time.
Yeah. There's subtle differences.
What are some of the circumstances? I know sometimes, sometimes you just want to change the recipe a bit, but does ever, availability of ingredients cause you to have to change things?
Huge.
Yeah.
I did not know when I started. I just went to my local homebrew shop. Shout out to Grain to Glass. They always normally had stuff available at the shop where I would buy in my small 5-gallon needs.
Yeah.
Well, you get to a production scale, and holy crap, man! The hop game is brutal. Like this year, I'll give you an example. We use Citra in our IPA as well. Citra is a trademark brand of hop, so you can only get it from, I believe, Yakima Valley through other distributors. So it's only available in our IPA and our Cosmos. Well, I think it was April, maybe May, all of a sudden there was a shortage on Citra. Like, it wasn't going to be available the rest of the year. We're like,
That's in everything.
Yeah, this had never been low before. I didn't know we would have, and then it was just a mad scramble on how we were going to get it. We had to contract them as well, so we had to promise to buy a certain amount. And when we just opened, that made me really nervous. I was like, not more, Dad.
Yeah, you're on the hook for so much.
Yeah, but it worked out. It was all good. Luckily, we did contract it.
Yeah.
We're still here, still making beer, and didn't know that would be that the hop game was a thing. It's a thing.
So, like a beer like this, is this based on? Because you have Dan here. Is this based on? Was this a collaboration of a recipe between the two of you, or did you work on it together, or was it mostly something you got down and you just sort of?
So we really worked together on the IPA and the Cosmos, the Pilsner and the MacGuffin were sort of pretty much done.
Yeah.
The IPA we made tweaks certainly in the grain bill, not so much the hopping regimen, and then Cosmos we really worked on together. So
And that sour. Had you made the sour? Sour must be a tough one for homebrewers to do.
It's
right?
a tough one, yeah. It's a tough one. Like I screwed that one up a couple times. It was the only beer I've screwed up one other beer.
Screwed up a sour?
Oh man, when it smells like diaper genie.
It's not.
And if anybody who has kids and knows what a diaper genie smells like, not cool.
Really?
Yeah.
Just,
a diaper trash can.
Is that
concentrated?
Would you say that's the worst? That's
the worst
screw-up
mistake
you've made?
I've ever made, and a
bad sour.
I was very disappointed.
What would you say, because we talked about learning the thing about the hops. What's another big lesson you think you learned from opening a brewery, and also just opening this is to most people this is like a large scale business to open as one person pretty much.
Yeah.
What's something you learned pretty quick that you just never anticipated?
Get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good lesson.
Yeah. Just you're never gonna be, everything's great and groovy and no problem. It's just about there's constantly things in your way. Even now, there's constantly things that happen and things that break down, or like a challenge with the hops. Just if you're gonna, I guess that would be one of the big things. Was I thought, not that it would be, I'd open up the business and be great, but I think my mindset sort of was like, okay, just get me to day one, just get me to beer. That was my huge mindset through construction, because I didn't know construction. I didn't know what the hell.
You're just watching people do stuff.
Oh my God, that was. Anybody who knows our Instagram, they had dug the trench for our drain, and the floor was ripped apart, and there was dirt everywhere. I walked in, snapped the picture, and got out. I'm like, I do not want to see this. This does not look right.
Yeah. Call me when that's not like that.
I can't fix this or know what to do with this. I'll just make the beer. And I was so far from beer at that point. But
when you opened, or when production was ready, what was the first one you started?
Our first batch was the Pilsner.
Really?
Yeah.
Why was that? What made you choose
it was
that?
the
Just takes the
easier.
longest,
It was
or?
the easier one for us. I think.
Yeah.
The recipe was pretty simple. It wasn't very expensive in hops,
Yeah.
so we didn't want to make the IPA first and screw something up. It was our first time doing it on the system.
It's nice too. You've been mentioning Barnhammer a few times. There does seem to be in the city a really nice Very supportive kind of culture.
Yeah.
Between a lot of the brewers.
Well, it's not like, we're craft brewers. We're not in competition with each other. It's not like I want Barnhammer's piece of their pie or Torque's or anybody's. It's like we're in this together because it's the big guys who own the whole pie. They own,
they're
90%.
The ones who will exert force on you if they really want to.
They own 90% of beer sales in the city. So we don't want each other's pie. We want somebody, the bigger guy's piece of his pie.
I came here early on a few times, and it was always like you or your dad behind the bar.
Yeah.
And last time I came here, you did a thing where it was called taking a night off. And you actually weren't here, and you had like other staff I didn't know working in the evening, and that's employment, like that's supporting the local economy. And so if people, if you're gonna go drink beer anyway, drink good beer, support local people, and you got busier, so you had to hire people.
Here. Yeah. It was, we were like Colin, who's our director of sales and marketing. Pretty much he and I and my wife and my dad and people who would like help us out every once in a while. Like we were going really hard for 6 months, where I was here from morning till after midnight all the time.
Yeah.
It was brewing beer in the morning and then trying to find work to do paperwork and all that kind of stuff. And then coming and working in the tap room in the evening, just because we didn't know how things were going to go. Yeah.
Something else you do here that I like too is you have, and usually you post a schedule on the Instagram of the food trucks that are coming.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, you have some food available. You have
Trinidadian doubles.
Which are, explain those, because these are almost always available.
My dad's from Trinidad. My mom's from here. My dad's from Trinidad, and just food that I've grown up on, and I wanted to have that little touch. And Island Fusion makes the doubles for us, fresh every week, and so it's just an awesome option to have. It's like a little snack food, and we don't have to have a whole kitchen to do it. After trying to open a brew pub, I sort of wanted to stay away from anything.
Yeah. Hey
kitchen,
guys, the bank turned me down based on that.
So. I can't afford this fire suppression system, this grease trap, or
We should move on to this the final selection in the
Cosmos
here. Cosmos sour.
Tastes like fuzzy peaches.
Is there actually any fruit in this, or it's just
it's just hops?
Yeah,
it's just hops.
Oh, I like your sour though.
Thank you. Oh yeah, cheers.
One more clink on the mic.
Clinky.
Oh, that's so good.
Thank you.
I remember years ago, actually when my old band was on tour, I think this was 2013 or 2014. I know the guy who runs this brew pub in Toronto called the Indie Ale House. They make amazing beer.
I like
Jason, great guy. Yeah. But I was asking him a few years ago, I'm like, what's the next big thing in beer? Like, what's the next trend? And I remember telling you sour beers, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? And he's like, yeah, basically it tastes like beer that got infected. But
you literally pitch bugs into it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say that. It'll hurt the band. Edit that out. You put lactobacillus in it, which is found in yogurt, which is really good for your gut.
Yeah. Well, I was actually just going to use the yogurt example. If you eat yogurt,
cut the bugs, man.
Yeah.
Write a note. Cut the bugs.
But I remember telling me that, and I was like, why would people want that? And they didn't have any even there ready at the time. But I remember telling me that's the next thing. And then it was still like a couple years before I really heard of sour beers coming out. And now it's like, in the summer, some people I know, it's the only thing they drink. It's just sours. So I got one more question for you to wrap it up.
Okay.
We were talking about the big brewers, and we were talking about cheap beers. Let's say you're going out camping, or you're going to the cabin or something. You're out in the sticks. You stop at a beer store, and all you have available to you are the big name brewers. What do you go for?
I don't.
You don't. You just see it and don't. I'm like, I'm not going to drink beer.
I prepare. I've been there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Before I was a craft drinker, I don't know. Like I would drink, I guess like I liked Heineken a lot. I really shouldn't say this, but I don't know. Back before I knew what I was doing.
Hey, I think it's fine. Look, everybody started somewhere with their beer. No one's first beer was anything very good.
I guess
I don't think this will not affect your cred.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I think before I knew what I was doing, I think it was Heineken, and then I don't know. I think that's it. I don't know. I can't even remember now. I went through the brands, when I was a kid. Molson. I drank a lot of Molson.
Yeah.
Standard. Drank a ton of Standard.
Oh yeah, Standards.
So I would probably get Standard or PBR, to be honest.
Yeah.
That was a lot of what I drank before.
Yeah. Could you still stand if it was in front of you? Could you be like, yeah, I guess I'll get PBR. I'm going camping.
I'd crush a Standard or a PBR if I had to, for sure. Like I'm not, but I just would prefer not to. Life. I like a PBR. I like a Standard, I guess.
Yeah.
But like now,
they have their place.
Life's too short for bad beer. But I shouldn't really say
that.
Maybe
louder,
cut
actually.
that. Maybe cut that part on the other brands. But I will drink those. But yeah, in terms of other big beer, life is too short for bad beer. Like I've had enough of it, and I just don't. So if I go camping and there's a wall of beer, I just come prepared. That's all. Because I've been there before.
Good way to be.
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew. Well, I think it is now time for us to write a song.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. It's just about my kids. I don't know. Yeah. Well, we didn't get into it on the show. Fuck, we should have. Part of the reason why I did this too was, especially the MacGuffin. I meant to get into it. I give part of the proceeds to autism at St. Amant.
Okay.
My son has autism, so. Another part of me doing this was obviously selfish reasons. I love beer, and that's what I want to do. But for secondary reasons, I don't know what his future holds. So I wanted to have something for him too. I don't know. I've been feeling, I've listened to every episode, so I've been feeling like we need an acoustic punk vibe. What's that sound like? Power chords. Yeah, there you go. Gang vocals. I think we should have gang vocals. Now that you said it.
Some of this room in there.
Yeah. Now that you said it.
They can be some whoas, or they can be chanting along,
or just chants. I always love chants. I thought about themes too. I was thinking about themes. If we wanted to start with a theme, it would be nice to. I had this theme of I think, and I didn't say it. I think part of it was when I was writing it, I was very conscious of how old I was and how. I didn't want to waste any time anymore now that I had found what I was going to do. So It was really, my theme was like everything in time, but also there's no time to lose. I don't know. That was the theme that I had come up with that I wanted to maybe explore. I like that.
All right, that's something to build on.
Yeah.
Ticking time bomb.
I see the clock's a ticking time bomb. Okay.
Get it down. I like that line.
Oh boy, and I think we're making.
But with a growl. I think with a growl. Punk growl.
Yeah. Just push it as fast as you need to.
Just our future. Not like I need that third line, man. I need that third line. Just
the line before that?
Not like I will make it.
I see the clock's a ticking time bomb. My legs have failed and now that time's gone. Like a scene where I'm supposed to be. Grab my hand, I think we'll fake it. Is this our future? Not like we will break it. It's alright, it's just flashing zeros. Grab my hand, I swear I think we'll make it. this is alright.
Breakneck from Andrew Sookram. That is track 7 of this album, this season that we're putting together. We're in the home stretch. So I said that one would be a big production piece, and it was. Again, all we had originally was the acoustic guitar and the vocals. I may release that version of the song eventually. I still have all the stuff, the original files, because it sounds great, and it's almost what was going to go out anyway. I would have been happy with it, but once I started putting the punk drums in there, and then I'm like, electric guitar is just going to work so well, and it did. And then, then you might as well lay down the other guitar, and then, bass is pretty easy. It just worked. So there's the song. You can follow Andrew and the brewery, learn more about them on Instagram at Sookram's Brewing. Sookram is spelled Sookrams. Andrew mentioned it in the show briefly. You might have caught it. And I want to mention this again too. A portion of the proceeds from the beer, I know the MacGuffin California Common, I'm not sure if it's all of them, a portion of the proceeds goes to St. Amant Center for Autism Awareness. It's something close to him in his life. So I want to get that out there again. If you like craft beer and you're in the area, you're in Manitoba, come to Winnipeg, check out Sookram's. They make excellent beer. It was a lot of fun to do this one. Andrew took it very seriously. I don't know if you heard, he came to it with notes and ideas on themes. He was in this thing for real, and it was great to get that kind of passion from him. He immediately was ready to get down to work when it came time. So that's it for this week. We're going to be back. There are only 3 episodes left. Still got to record one of them. That's coming. It's getting down to crunch time, but we have some excellent stuff lined up to end out the season. Thank you for following. Thank you for listening. Find us on social media. Instagram, Hey Let's Write a Song. Twitter, Write a Song Pod. All the episodes go up on YouTube as well, if that's how you want to get your podcasts. And we'll see you back here next week on Let's Write a Song.